Hello, Jerry Hansen here from Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm off the farm today and I'm visiting another homesteader, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm's channel. As I said in the bumper, I am not at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm actually with Steve Davis at Steve Davis Off-Grid, and you can check out his channel. I'll leave the link to it at the end of this show. But I come up to see Steve today because I'm doing some homestead bartering. I received an electric lawnmower that they had mentioned last time I was up here visiting that they were going to get one, but it's like, aha, I have one in my stockpile. Let me bring that to you, because they have an off-grid solar-powered system. I mean, Steve and his wife are completely off-grid up here. And I'll leave a link there too, or go visit his channel and you can have Steve walk you through his entire system. This guy is full of information.
Hope it's good.
I find it very valuable, especially for my off-grid setup that I have. Now the trade comes in. I'm trading Steve that lawnmower for a timber beam. I found out Steve actually has a sawmill right here, which is, you see right behind us, it's a wood miser. And Steve has milled a beam for me that I'm going to be fitting into the ridgepole of my barn that I'm rebuilding. So Steve, tell us a little bit about the sawmill.
Well, this is a wood miser LT40 HD. I think we bought it in '91. And it's paid for itself many times. We've sold over 500,000 board feet to the building supplies for a specialized product that we make, and we found our niche in just pine and fir 1x12. There's a stack of it there, we'll show you. So it's paid for itself. I think we paid $18,400, or it was $19,400 for the mill. And we've been getting $550 to $800 a thousand board feet for 1x12 pine, high grade pine. Sometimes the knots are the size of pencils, and a good 30% of it will be clear. So it's high grade stuff. So the pine that we have sold in the past, and I say past because it's just a hobby now. It's not something that I do for a living anymore. I'm retired. So this pile that you saw here next to me, that's actually to replace some boards on some old buildings that we have. And this is blue pine. It's blue ponderosa pine. And the smaller boards on top are bats. So it's just board and bat siding, or what we used to call barn siding or hippie siding. But everything here on the 40 acres came off of this mill. In fact, a lot of other custom homes as well came right off of this sawmill. And it used to be portable, but we decided we would just bolt it to the floor and then bring the logs here and mill them here. We collect the sawdust in a real simple way. We hang a bucket here and we put it in another barrel over there that holds plastic bags, and we put them all in plastic bags. They go down to the horse barn and they age in the bags. And then they're used for bedding for the animals. And it depends on what kind of sawdust that you have. Fir is good, pine is better for animal bedding. But what happens is it gets mixed in with the horse manure. Okay, what we do with the sawdust is we put it on the floor of the horses in their stalls, and it just kind of organically mixes in with the manure, as well as clay and some rocks and pine cones and sticks. And that all goes over into a huge pile, and it starts, the horse manure helps break down the pine sawdust. And the ratio that we have with a little bit of clay, some hugelkultur type sticks, pine cones and leaves get mixed in with it just organically in cleaning up the turnout, and it goes in a big pile, and we stir the pile a couple of times a year with the tractor, and we grow all of our vegetables right in the soil that we make right here. Okay, this 4x6, Jerry wanted it 3.5 by 5.5. It's actually 3 9/16 by 5 9/16. By the time he uses it, it'll be dimensional lumber like what you would buy at a store. So what happens when you mill a timber out of a small tree? This tree, I think, was about 11, 12 inches in diameter. And so we had to box the heart. And what that means is we're cutting 4 sides around the heartwood. And when you box the heart on a small tree, when the timber dries out, it's going to twist. If you want to have no twist at all, then you have to be 30% free of heart. And you can see here on this particular timber, the heartwood's right here where my finger is, and the rest of the timber is free of that heart. So it should stay pretty good. And what happens with a tree is they actually grow in a spiral, and I think it's the opposite direction, northern hemisphere from southern hemisphere. So the outside wood, or the sapwood in any tree, including old growth, will actually grow in a spiral. And if you cut the outside of that wood and you cut it not being aware of the spiral, you can have a beam like this literally break in half under its own weight because of a poor slope of grain. Well, that slope of grain issue comes from the spiral. So when you tie both ends together in a building where when it dries, the 2 ends of the beam cannot move, they're fixed, what will happen is you'll get checking down the board. And it'll open up because when it dries, it has to go somewhere. It can't twist, so it's going to check. Now, if you just let this thing lay on the ground and dry in the sun, it would twist one end from the other with no checking. And that's the issue when you're boxing the heart on a small tree. The answer to this is get a bigger tree and be 30% at least free of heart. On this timber here, it's another 4x6. It was drying under some weight. It had other timber stacked on top of it, so it didn't twist very much. Because it wasn't allowed to twist, you see these fissures opening up, showing you the slope of grain. Now, for the slope of grain to meet structural grade, it has to be less than 1 inch in 10. We can see this one is about 5/8 of an inch in 10 inches. So the slope of grain is more than adequate to call this one a structural timber. This one here, you can see, it hasn't split and it hasn't warped. It hasn't twisted because it's free of heart.
Oh, no, it was like $30.
Your first year, $30?
Like Harbor Freight.
It's a nice rack.
Yeah, I got it on sale.
Want to throw a 2x6 on here while we're at it?
Sure, if you want.
I don't need it at all.
That'd be great.
You can tell how heavy this one and this 2x6.
So Steve, we're up in your garden now, looking at your solar panels, your house, and your garden array. You got something new up here. What do you got going on there?
Well, we've got Kentucky Wonder pole beans in the ground. Hopefully they'll be sprouting soon. And I got this off of somebody else's YouTube channel. I give them credit, but I don't remember their name. But I'm going to drill holes through all 3 posts. And then I have some high tension wire with turnbuckles. And I string wire from the far post through the middle one to this post. And the pole beans grow up through the wire. And part of the problem with the beans, I used to grow them on my fence, and it just takes forever to get the beans out of the fence. Well, this guy says just pull all your wires out at the end of the year and coil a wire up and hang it in your shed, and all your beans fall to the ground. And I thought that was a great idea. And the other thing is you don't have a fence or something permanent here. It's easier to walk in between because you only grow beans about 3 months out of the year, and we grow beans every 3 years. Can 64 quarts every 3 years.
Wow. So what's with the blackened post? That's not creosote.
No. We have a big propane torch. And I remember this from when we used to build custom homes we would build homes all post and beam, and we would burn the posts and beam with the torch in 1/4 of an inch, and then brush the char away, and it just makes a beautiful beam. And that got me to thinking, I still have the torch. I could char in the post really, really good, and then set it in rock that drains. And then the old timers used to take a post and they'd put it in a burn pile, and they'd burn the ends really good because the bugs just hate the carbon. They choke on it. So I char the posts in really good and put them in rock that drains away, and hope that the post will last longer, because it just came off of our mill from timber on our own land. So we haven't actually bought a board in 29 years. So this is how we roll.
Well, Steve, you've been a wealth of information today. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you so much for the beams for my barn.
Great barter trade.
Great barter trade.
Yeah.
That's the homestead way.
You got it.
I'm Jerry Hansen, your host of Pine Meadows Hobby Farm, visiting Steve Davis in his off-grid homestead. Like I said, be sure to check out his videos. I'm leaving a link just at the end of this show. And thank you, buddy, for the fellowship. I really enjoyed the trip over here.
Thank you for coming. Enjoyed it.
All right. We'll be looking for a visit from you and Carol over at Pine Meadows.
We're coming.
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. We'll see you guys later. I'm Jerry Hansen from Homestead. I got to do this again. Change angles a little bit. Okay. Come on. In frame. There we go. And let's get you.
Can't do anything about how bad it looked.
No, don't worry about bad. We're homesteaders.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, these are the videos and links I was telling you about right here on Steve's off-grid homestead and his sawmill, so check it out.